If you have been drinking diet versions of your favorite soft drinks to protect your health, I need you to stop for a moment and watch this. Because in 2016, the British government introduced a sugar tax that was supposed to make soft drinks healthier. What it actually did was trigger the largest mass reformulation of food products this country has ever seen. 89% of soft drinks sold in the UK were quietly changed between 2016 and 2018, and most people had no idea it happened. The manufacturers did not replace sugar with fruit. They replaced it with laboratory-synthesized chemicals that the World Health Organization now says should not be used to control weight or prevent disease. Your childhood favorites no longer taste the way you remember. More importantly, they no longer contain what you think they contain. Here are 9 UK soft drink brands you must avoid and 3 safer alternatives worth switching to. Number 9. Lucozade Original. You probably grew up seeing this on the shelf at the chemist. Orange bottle, bright label, the drink your mum brought you when you were poorly as a child. In 2016, Liverpool City Council put Lucozade on a poster. Not to celebrate it, to name and shame it. They ran the campaign in hospitals and GP surgeries across the entire city. 62 grams of sugar in a single 500 milliliter bottle. More than Coca-Cola, the drink was publicly declared the worst offender among British soft drinks. Within 12 months, the recipe had been completely changed. Here is what they replaced it with: aspartame and acesulfame K, 2 artificial sweeteners. And in 2023, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified aspartame as possibly carcinogenic. The bottle now carries a mandatory warning that the colouring may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. Let that sit for a moment. For a drink sold in pharmacies carrying a child safety warning on the label, and it gets significantly worse than that. For nearly a century, British diabetes charities recommended Lucozade Original as emergency treatment for hypoglycemia in insulin users. The glucose content acted fast enough to prevent dangerous blood sugar crashes. Since 2017, those same charities explicitly warn diabetics not to use Lucozade for hypos. The artificial sweeteners do not raise blood sugar. A diabetic following outdated advice today could end up hospitalized. Lucozade still markets itself as an energy drink that helps you get through busy days. The vitamin B3 content supposedly reduces tiredness and fatigue. What they do not mention is that a 500 milliliter bottle still delivers 33 grams of sugar alongside the artificial sweeteners. You are consuming both sugar and chemicals designed to replace sugar in the same drink. They reformulated just enough to dodge the sugar tax threshold of 8 grams per 100 milliliters, then filled the sweetness gap with laboratory compounds. A 500 milliliter bottle costs approximately £1.75 at most major supermarkets. You're paying nearly £2 for flavoured water, artificial sweeteners, synthetic colouring that carries a child safety warning, and just enough sugar to make the whole thing legally tax compliant. If you think a drink with child safety warnings on the label is troubling, wait until you hear about the company that was prosecuted for lying about vitamin C. Number 8. Ribena Blackcurrant. Ribena has been selling itself as a healthy choice for children since 1938. Wartime nutrition, real black currants, vitamin C for growing children. The branding has not changed much in 86 years. The reputation nearly collapsed in 2004. 2 secondary school students in New Zealand tested Ribena for a science project. What they found was almost undetectable levels of vitamin C in Ribena ready to drink. This was a product built entirely on advertising that claimed blackcurrants contained 4 times the vitamin C of oranges. The story went national. The Commerce Commission brought 15 charges against GlaxoSmithKline. GSK pleaded guilty. The fine was $217,000. GSK insisted the issue only affected Australia and New Zealand, and that UK products contained stated vitamin C levels. The damage to the brand's health credentials was permanent, regardless. That was the company's track record before the sugar tax even arrived. When the sugar tax came, Suntory reformulated Ribena yet again. Acesulfame K and sucralose were added to replace some of the sugar content. Some promotional materials continued claiming no artificial sweeteners. The ingredient list on the actual bottle listed both acesulfame K and sucralose clearly. Marketing on the front of the pack was saying one thing. The label on the back was saying something else entirely. That inconsistency is still creating confusion for consumers today. Now look at the fruit content. 6% blackcurrant juice from concentrate. The remaining 94% is water, sugar, thickeners, acidity regulators, extracts, flavorings, and 2 artificial sweeteners the brand said were not in there. The marketing emphasizes real fruit and blackcurrant heritage. The ingredient list tells you that almost everything in the bottle is not blackcurrant. A 4-pack of 500 milliliter bottles costs approximately £4 at Sainsbury's. £1 per bottle for 6% fruit juice, 2 artificial sweeteners that were not in the original formula, and a company with a court-documented history of misleading consumers about what is inside the drink. At least Ribena never sparked a national campaign to save the recipe. The next drink caused such outrage that customers began stockpiling cases before the original disappeared forever. Number 7. Irn-Bru. In Scotland, Irn-Bru outsold Coca-Cola for decades. That is not a small thing. Coca-Cola outsells almost everything, everywhere. Irn-Bru beat it on its home ground. Then January 2018 happened. A G-bar reduced the sugar content from 10 grams per 100 milliliters down to under 5, completely exempt from the sugar tax. They swapped the difference with artificial sweeteners. Then they told consumers most people would not notice. Scottish consumers noticed immediately. People started stockpiling cases of original Irn-Bru before it disappeared. Retailers reported customers buying multiple cases at once. An entire campaign launched. Save real Irn-Bru. A recipe that had stayed the same for over a century was gone in a matter of months. A G-Bar's response? They launched Irn-Bru 1901, supposedly the original recipe, available at a 30 to 40% premium above standard Irn-Bru. So to be clear, the real recipe still exists. They just decided it is now a luxury product. If you want the drink that Scots grew up with, you pay extra for it. The cheaper version comes with artificial sweeteners. They charged you less for less and called it the same thing. Number 6. Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Coca-Cola learned an important lesson in 1985. When they tried to reformulate the classic recipe, the consumer backlash was so severe and immediate that the original formula was restored within 3 months. That experience shaped every major decision the company made about reformulation afterward. So when the UK sugar tax arrived, Coca-Cola did not touch classic Coke. They paid the tax. Then they made classic Coke cost between 11 and 38% more than Coke Zero, depending on bottle size. At Tesco, a 2-litre classic costs around £2.70. A 2-litre Coke Zero costs around £1.90. That is 80 pence difference per bottle. For a family buying soft drinks regularly, that pricing pressure accumulates into a genuine financial incentive every single week at the supermarket. And Coke Zero contains no sugar whatsoever. Every gram of sweetness comes from aspartame and acesulfame K, the same aspartame that the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified as possibly carcinogenic in 2023. The European Food Safety Authority is currently re-evaluating aspartame safety standards. The World Health Organization advised in 2023 that non-sugar sweeteners should not be used as a means to achieve weight control or reduce the risk of non-communicable diseases. Coke. Zero's entire marketing premise is built on zero sugar and 0 calories as the healthier alternative. The scientific consensus is actively moving away from that position. Since the sugar tax launched, Coke Zero volume purchases increased by 50%. The balance between classic and zero shifted to 60-40 in favour of zero. Millions of British households made that switch, and the data suggests price was the primary driver, rather than preference. Beyond the sweeteners, Coke Zero contains phosphoric acid, which has been linked to reduced bone density with regular consumption, plus natural flavourings that remain entirely proprietary. You are not choosing Coke Zero, you are being economically priced into it, but at least Coke Zero admits what it is. The next drink adds ginseng to the formula and pretends that makes the artificial sweetness somehow better for you. Number 5. Pepsi Max. Same artificial sweeteners as Coke Zero, aspartame and acesulfame K. The one difference Pepsi markets heavily is ginseng extract. It appears on the can. It sounds healthy. That is precisely the point. The quantity of ginseng is not disclosed anywhere on the label. There is no credible clinical evidence that the amount of ginseng present in a soft drink produces any meaningful health benefit. The ginseng extract provides marketing differentiation without substantive nutritional impact. You are getting artificial sweeteners with a trace of an ingredient whose effectiveness in this context has not been proven. What is significant is this. A Mintel survey conducted in 2024 found that 51% of UK consumers believe aspartame causes long-term health problems. 3 in 5 British adults now say consuming too much food or drink with artificial sweeteners can lead to long-term health problems. And yet, Pepsi Max sales rose 17% in the year following sugar tax implementation. The ratio of Max to regular Pepsi shifted to 83 to 17 in favour of Max. Consumers are expressing concern about artificial sweeteners in surveys while simultaneously buying more of them at the checkout. That gap exists because of price, not preference. A 2-litre bottle costs between £1.90 and £2.20, depending on promotions. The economic incentives are identical to those driving the shift toward Coke Zero. The artificial sweetener version costs less. Families managing tight budgets make that calculation every single week. Then there is the cardiovascular research. Studies using UK Biobank data found that consuming 2 or more servings of artificially sweetened drinks per day was associated with increased risk of coronary heart disease and chronic kidney disease compared to less than 1 serving per month. The follow-up periods range from 11 to 12 years. These are observational studies that cannot establish direct causation, but the same association between heavy artificial sweetener consumption and cardiovascular problems appears consistently across multiple independent research projects. A trace of ginseng on the label does not change any of that. But you know what makes this manageable? Those cola drinks at least look like they might contain chemicals. The next category tricks parents into thinking they are giving their children fruit when they are actually serving 0% fruit juice with artificial sweeteners. Number 4. Fanta Orange Zero. Part of the Coca-Cola family, the sugar-free version of one of Britain's most popular orange soft drinks contains aspartame among its artificial sweeteners. The regular Fanta Orange was also reformulated in response to the sugar tax, but it retains some sugar content. Fanta Orange Zero eliminates sugar entirely. The ingredients include carbonated water, citric acid, natural orange flavorings with other natural flavorings, preservatives, sweeteners including aspartame and acetylsulfame K. The orange color comes from beta-carotene. The drink contains no fruit juice whatsoever. Fanta Fruit Twist contains 2% fruit juice. Fanta Orange Zero contains 0%. The zero-sugar variants of fruit-flavored drinks create an interesting problem. Fruit naturally contains sugar. Orange juice contains sugar from oranges. A soft drink that claims orange flavor but contains 0 sugar cannot contain meaningful amounts of actual orange. The flavoring must be either extracted orange oil or laboratory synthesized compounds designed to taste like orange. Either way, the connection to real fruit becomes tenuous at best. The German Federal Institute for Risk Assessment analyzed 92 popular low-calorie or no-added sugar soft drinks and found high concentrations of artificial sweeteners, including aspartame, acetylsulfame K, cyclamate, saccharin, sucralose, and steviol glycosides. 87 of those beverages contain multiple artificial sweeteners. Fanta Orange Zero follows this pattern. The drink contains both aspartame and acetylsulfame K. Combining multiple sweeteners has become standard practice in reformulated soft drinks. A survey across the United Kingdom found that approximately 2/3 of children consume products containing artificial sweeteners. That consumption remained consistent throughout 11 years of study. Fanta markets primarily to young people. The bright colors and fruit flavors appeal to children and teenagers. Those consumers are now growing up drinking artificial sweeteners rather than sugar, despite limited long-term safety data on chronic childhood exposure to these compounds. If you think orange-flavored artificial sweeteners marketed to children are bad, the lemon-lime category delivers the same problems with different citrus flavors. Number 3. Sprite Zero. Coca-Cola's lemon and lime drink without sugar contains aspartame and acetylsulfame K. Marketed as a crisp, refreshing alternative to regular Sprite with 0 sugar and 0 calories. The reformulated regular Sprite also contains artificial sweeteners alongside reduced sugar content. Sprite Zero eliminates sugar completely. The ingredients list carbonated water, citric acid, natural lemon and lime flavorings, sweeteners including aspartame and acetylsulfame K, and an acidity regulator. Like Fanta Zero, Sprite Zero contains no fruit juice. Lemon and lime flavor comes from natural flavorings, which could mean extracted citrus oils or synthesized compounds that taste like citrus. The specifics remain proprietary. The European Academy of Pediatrics advises against the consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages in children. The European Society for Pediatric Gastroenterology, Hepatology and Nutrition advises caution regarding the use of artificial sweeteners in children's diets, particularly for children under age 3. Sprite markets to all age groups, including children. The zero sugar formulation theoretically addresses concerns about childhood sugar consumption. It replaces those concerns with questions about childhood artificial sweetener consumption. Sprite Zero typically costs between £1.50 and £1.90 for a 2-litre bottle at major UK supermarkets. The pricing matches other zero sugar soft drinks from Coca-Cola. The economic incentive to choose artificial sweeteners over sugar applies across the entire Coca-Cola product range. Regular Sprite costs more than Sprite Zero. The sugar tax ensures that drinks containing sugar face price premiums regardless of brand. Recent research examining artificial sweeteners found that they can alter gut microbiota composition. The gut microbiome plays crucial roles in digestion, immune function, and even mental health. Disrupting the bacterial balance in the digestive system can have wide-ranging health consequences. Studies using human participants found that artificial sweeteners, including sucralose and saccharin, induced changes in gut bacteria associated with glucose intolerance. The mechanism appears to involve the microbiome rather than direct metabolic effects. At least Sprite is honest about what it contains. The next brand uses clever marketing to make you think artificial sweeteners do not count as artificial ingredients. Number 2. 7-Up Free. The sugar-free version of 7-Up contains aspartame, marketed as having no artificial colors or flavors despite containing artificial sweeteners. The distinction between artificial sweeteners and artificial flavors creates marketing space for products that technically meet the no artificial flavors claim while still containing synthetic chemicals. 7-Up free ingredients include carbonated water, citric acid, natural lemon and lime flavorings, sweeteners including aspartame and acesulfame K, and acidity regulators. The formula matches Sprite Zero closely with minor variations in flavoring and acidity regulation. Both deliver lemon-lime flavor through artificial sweeteners rather than sugar. The phrase "no artificial flavors" appears prominently on 7-Up free packaging. Consumers interpret this to mean the product is more natural than competitors. The ingredient list includes aspartame, a synthetic compound manufactured in laboratory conditions. The distinction between artificial flavors and artificial sweeteners is technical rather than meaningful from a consumer understanding perspective. Both are human-made chemicals added to create specific taste profiles. 7-Up Free costs roughly the same as Sprite Zero and other mainstream sugar-free lemon-lime drinks. A multi-pack of cans typically sells for between £3 and £4, depending on the retailer and promotions. Single bottles cost between £1.50 and £2 for a 2-litre size. The pricing remains consistent with sugar tax incentive structures, favouring artificial sweetener formulations. The Mayo Clinic notes that artificial sweeteners are considered safe in limited amounts for healthy people, including pregnant women. However, the guidance includes important exceptions. People with phenylketonuria, a rare genetic disease, should avoid aspartame completely as it can lead to serious health problems. People with bowel diseases may find that artificial sweeteners worsen symptoms. The dietary guidelines for Americans recommend that adults not give sugar substitutes to children under 2 years old. 7-Up Free at least keeps the same taste across all markets. The worst offender reformulated specifically for British consumers while keeping the real recipe for everyone else. Number 1. Dr. Pepper. The distinctive flavoured cola drink available in the UK contains aspartame in its standard formulation. The 23 flavours that supposedly comprise Dr. Pepper's unique taste are combined with artificial sweeteners rather than sugar in the British market version. Dr. Pepper in the United States contains high fructose corn syrup. Dr. Pepper in the UK contains reduced sugar plus aspartame and acesulfame K. The reformulation created taste differences between American and British Dr. Pepper that consumers notice immediately. Multiple online forums discuss the flavour variations between UK Dr. Pepper and versions sold in other countries. The British version receives consistent criticism for the artificial sweetener aftertaste. Consumers specifically mention preferring American, Swedish, or Polish Dr. Pepper versions over the UK formulation. Dr. Pepper markets its unique flavor profile as the defining characteristic of the brand. The 23 flavors create something distinctive in the crowded cola market. Adding artificial sweeteners to that carefully balanced formula changes the taste profile in ways that fans of the original find unacceptable. Unlike Coca-Cola, which maintained regular Coke as originally formulated and simply charged more for it, Dr. Pepper reformulated its standard UK product. A 2-litre bottle of Dr. Pepper costs approximately £2 at most major supermarkets. Imported American Dr. Pepper, which uses sugar or high fructose corn syrup rather than artificial sweeteners, costs significantly more when available at specialist import retailers. British consumers wanting Dr. Pepper without artificial sweeteners must seek out imported versions at premium prices, or simply accept the reformulated product. The widespread reformulation of soft drinks in response to the sugar tax created a natural experiment in public health. The manufacturers claim success in reducing sugar consumption. Public health officials point to decreased sugar intake from soft drinks as a policy win. What remains unexamined is the long-term health impact of dramatically increased artificial sweetener consumption across the entire population. British consumers now drink artificial sweeteners at levels unprecedented in human history. But I have to say, not every soft drink manufacturer responded to the sugar tax by loading products with artificial sweeteners. So here are some soft drinks you can buy. Number 1. Belvoir Fruit Farms. Belvoir Fruit Farms produces elderflower cordial and other fruit drinks using natural ingredients without artificial sweeteners. The elderflower cordial contains pressed elderflowers, sugar, citric acid, and natural flavorings. The difference is simple: recognizable ingredients. No artificial sweeteners, no chemical-sounding additives, just a traditional recipe built around real components. The sugar comes from cane sugar, not corn syrup or synthetic alternatives. A 500 milliliter bottle costs around £4.50. That's significantly more than standard cordials. But you're paying for ingredient quality, not marketing tricks or reformulated shortcuts. Number 2. Fentimans. Fentimans does something that almost no mainstream soft drink brand bothers with anymore. They ferment their drinks. The ginger beer contains carbonated water, fermented ginger root extract, glucose syrup, sugar, pear juice concentrate, natural flavorings, citric acid, and herbal extracts. The fermentation process develops flavor naturally over time rather than relying on artificial flavorings to simulate depth that was never there. That process takes longer and costs more than standard production. The result is a genuinely complex taste profile that does not need synthetic additives to fill gaps because the flavor is actually present in the ingredients. The ingredient list contains nothing that requires a regulatory safety evaluation footnote. Everything in the bottle is either a recognizable food component or a natural extract. A 275 milliliter bottle costs around £1.60 at most stockists. You are paying a modest premium for a production method that most of the industry abandoned in pursuit of cheaper, faster manufacturing. The taste difference compared to mass-market ginger drinks is immediately noticeable. Number 3. Corsten Press. Corsten Press does not try to do very much, and that restraint is the entire point. Their sparkling rhubarb drink contains 3 ingredients: carbonated spring water, pressed apple juice, pressed rhubarb juice. That is the complete list. No sweeteners, artificial or otherwise. No concentrates are engineered to extend shelf life. No acidity regulators or thickeners. No flavorings, synthetic or extracted. The sweetness comes entirely from real pressed fruit, which makes the drink taste noticeably cleaner and less artificially intense than anything reformulated to meet a tax threshold. The ingredient list contains nothing ambiguous. There is no proprietary natural flavoring, no trade secret formulation, no sweetener category with ongoing safety reviews. 3 things, all of them recognizable as food. A 330 milliliter can costs around £1.30. You are paying for fruit that was pressed rather than flavor that was synthesized. The ingredient list is the proof. Keeping your family safe is a serious business. So in case you can't find these brands every time, here are simple rules you should follow when looking for soft drinks to buy. Read the ingredients list rather than the marketing claims on the front of the package. Ingredients appear in descending order by weight. If water is first followed immediately by artificial sweeteners, you are buying flavored water with synthetic sugar substitutes. If sugar appears high in the list but artificial sweeteners also appear, you are buying a hybrid formulation design designed to minimize tax liability rather than maximize consumer health. Check for aspartame, asulfame K, sucralose and saccharin in the sweeteners section. These are the most common artificial sweeteners in UK soft drinks. The European Food Safety Authority allows all of them under current regulations, but the safety evaluations continue, and public health guidance increasingly questions their use. The World Health Organization 2023 guideline explicitly states that non-sugar sweeteners should not be used as a means to achieve weight control or reduce risk of non-communicable diseases. Look for the percentage of actual fruit juice. Many drinks marketed as fruit-flavored contain 0% fruit juice. Fanta Orange Zero contains no fruit. Ribena, ready to drink, contains 6% black currant. Corsten Press contains 100% pressed fruit juice. The fruit juice percentage tells you whether you are drinking fruit or drinking chemical approximations of fruit flavor. Examine the warnings and notices on the label. If the package warns that colors may have adverse effects on activity and attention in children, consider whether you want to consume products requiring safety warnings. These warnings appear because testing showed genuine effects that regulators deemed serious enough to mandate disclosure. Consider the price relative to ingredients. If a drink costs £1.50 per 2 litres but contains only water, artificial sweeteners, and synthetic flavourings, you are paying for marketing and distribution rather than substantive ingredients. Artisan drinks with pressed fruit juice and natural flavourings cost more because those ingredients cost more to source and process. Our job is to help you make choices that actually protect your family. If this video showed you something you did not know before, please like it and share it with someone who drinks these brands regularly. They deserve to know too. And subscribe if you want us to keep investigating the products and marketing claims that corporations hope you never question. Drop a comment below telling me which of these brands surprised you most. I read every single one.